Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Robot Learning. People, can you find out what is this? This is basically male and female connector part of a jumper wire. You are using probably when you design your robotics project and you interconnect the components. Okay, you connect microcontroller with the driver to sensors, and microcontroller with sensor, LEDs, probably motor also. And why I'm discussing this? Because they were supposed to be looking good. They were looking good actually, but none of them were working actually. So what I did, just to separate them out from the good cables, good wires, I've cut them out. So make sure that they don't mix with. So why I'm discussing this? Because I want to make sure that you don't waste time in debugging your robotic project. And you are thinking that your microcontroller probably is not working, or probably your costly driver is not working, and something has gone wrong with them. But actually the main issue was your jumper wire was not good. Your wire was not properly connected, and they were not conducting actually, and that's why your project was not working. Because if you remember, when you design your project, what happens? It works very first day, probably first week also. And then when you keep your project and you want to take out just to see whether it's working or not, probably 6 months or 1 year later, they are not working. Why? Because what happens is that this connector, the male and female connector, they become weak. They become loose also. And the pins, if you see the pins here, the pin become very, very oxidized. They become dirty. They become non-conductor. They don't connect. The connection between the physical connection between the male and female connectors, we become loose, weak, or oxidized. So the conducting part is not touching each other, and the connection is not happening properly. And that's why it works sometimes, but sometimes doesn't work. And what happens is that when we get mad, actually, we start looking for things here, why it is not working. We spend time too much debugging the code. We spend too much time replacing the drivers, or microcontroller, or sensor. But at the end, what we find after a week or 10 days later, oh, the connection was bad actually. The wiring was bad, or probably I changed the cable, the jumper wire, and it started working. So the very first time, make sure that most of the time, 90% of time, make sure that you first, before you select the jumper wires, you test them individually using LED light or battery. So before you select the wire, make sure that you select proper wires only by testing them first. Don't assume blindly that I have ordered a new jumper wire set and it will be working. No, that's why some of the jumper wires, I have basically cut them, I have removed them. And what happens is that these good quality jumper wires, they become very hard, rigid, non-conductor, loose even after 3 months or 6 months later. They lose their flexibility. Internally they are broke. So these 2 points, okay, check the quality of the wire, and the wiring is misplaced. And the third part, you can go to coding part, and the fourth part, you can go for the costly part checking, costly devices checking. Remember, in the beginning, probably we love jumper wires because they give a kick that we are working on the robotics project, but we lose that kick after 1 year, 2 years later. So what you have to do, you have to remove your jumper wires and use good quality, probably silicon wires, and solder between the devices like drivers, microcontrollers, sensors. All those to be soldered properly. Hopefully this video should help you.